Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. And we got Nubs with us here tonight. Folks, the StreamYard link is down there for anybody that wants to join the panel. And tonight we're going to do another review. We're going to go over, if you remember, my 3,000 subs video. Again, thanks for everybody's support. We did some review of certain subs that I've got, or channels that I've subbed to. And one of those is Law Talk with Mike. And so we're going to go over one of his videos. He does a lot of talk about SOV sets. And so I watch his videos, and he's got some points, but a lot of the stuff that he rejects is because he refuses to open his mind and see what's really going on. So I wanted to do a review on one of his videos tonight to see how it goes. And it's something I haven't watched yet. So we're going to go and review it together for the first time. And of course, everything is under, what is it? Where is it? Fair use. There it is. Got to get my banner across the bottom. Because Law Talk with Mike, he professes to be some kind of attorney or lawyer or something. So we want everybody to understand that this is for fair use only, as provided under 17 U.S.C. 107. And there's information along with that banner to my my email. Anybody wants to contact me. And of course, again, that link is there for anybody who wants to join the panel. As we get started with Law Talk with Mike, and his link is down in the chat below for this particular video. And you can just click on that and it will take you to the video, and then check out any other videos he's got. And like I said, I'm sub to him so that I can go over various different videos and do reviews and stuff. Again, because he has a large topic of saying everybody's a SOV set. Like he knows how this stuff works. And yet I don't know that I know of him being in any court and recording his own processes or anything. So, not that we're going to badger him or anything. It's not about badgering the person. It's about reviewing the process and the words that are being used, so we can kind of get a discernment of what is actually happening. So let's take a look. And this is Judge Webster Commits Treason is the title. So let's find out what this is about.
Will now be on the record in 23 TR 2777, State of Kansas versus Anthony Edward Dubus.
What is going on?
Chair Edward Year for the state. Is Mr. Dubus present? Anthony Dubus.
I am Anthony Edward Dubus. Dubus is the English pronunciation. Dubus is the original French. And I am appearing specially in propria persona, not pro se, as sui juris.
Okay, first of all, I can't see you, so you're not here.
First of all, I can't see you, so you're not here. You can hear me, so you did hear. Otherwise, you wouldn't have responded. So let's get over that facetious bullshit. Especially in this, especially in this metaverse on the internet. Notice it's a Zoom court. Zoom is a commercial platform, folks. Understand that. So let's get on with this Dubus guy. He's all of a sudden going to magically appear. Or is he? Oh, yeah, there we go.
All right. First of all, I'd like to apologize to Chris Bryant. He's not the big dummy here. It's Mr. Dubus. Here we go. Let's see him.
You're satisfied?
No
Thank
fuss.
you, sir. Now,
Absolutely.
as far as I need to go, well, I need you back here in person.
Oh, I need you back here in person. in person. Remember what he said, propria persona? Propria persona. Sweet juris is what they call that. And that's in, she just said in person. I need to see you in person, as opposed to in propria persona, which means for one's self. In person is completely different, of course. It's in person, whereas propria persona is for one's self and not in their person. Very distinct language. So again, this guy is professing sui juris under propria persona, and she's saying, I need to see you in person.
Okay, well,
Satisfied. We're downright excited.
it's propria persona, not in person. I'm not the legal entity that you're claiming me to be.
All right, sir,
See, he's making a point of it too. Watch this.
if I can't get you on camera, you're not here.
I'm doing so right now. I'm just removing it as it takes a while.
Now, the second order of business, let's get your name straight. I know
In order of business, so she's placating that it's in person, as she said, and not taking taking hold of what he's saying. So again, this is an important aspect of going into these courts as a defendant or plaintiff. You can't go in as a witness then. So your word really isn't worth a fuck. Excuse my language.
family with that the same exact spelling in America, and they do pronounce it Dubus, but you said you pronounce it
Bus,
Bus.
as the original bus, as the original French. Yep.
Very well. Dubus.
Thank you.
Now, you're welcome. Now, Mr. Dubus appears in person and pro se.
Correction. Propria persona.
Well, in this court, it's in person.
Yep. See, he's trying to correct it, and she's saying, well, in this court, it's in person. So that's a claim on personal jurisdiction, and that's why you question the jurisdiction first and foremost. You go in there and try to state what persona you're in. That's not a question. You have to question it, and that means you have to pose the impossibility that this court has personal jurisdiction.
And
Correction, in all courts, it may be either pro se, either appear
Really?
in person, or propria persona.
Oh,
well, in my years
Oh, like she's getting some new information. Let's listen to her excuse.
of law school and nearly 40 years of practice, both as an attorney and a judge, it's been in person, and that's what I'm going with, sir. I believe that is just fine. So in any event,
I believe that's just fine. No, it's not just fine. The law is specific, folks. This is the point of this. If you're gonna just sit there and say ambiguously that this applies, and this is just the way it's done, no, that's not the way it's done. That's the way you've been doing it, but that's not the way the law works. You've been
Hey, Wizard, I got
conducting
a
it.
quick question. Is that Cynthia's mother?
All right, let's stay on topic.
Sorry, I had to.
So it comes down to, again, folks, learning the language so you can tell what they're doing in these courts, if you ever go into those courts, so you can rebut them appropriately.
we will proceed with your charges. In count one, sir, you're charged with, on August 17th, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, operating a motor vehicle on a highway of this state.
Yeah, and see, this is all hearsay, and it's being read by the judge. There's no prosecutor. What is the judge doing reading this stuff in this appearance? See, this is one of the problems people don't recognize. If there's a fair and impartial hearing, all parties have to be at that hearing. So if you get into one of these rooms where there's no prosecutor, objection, Your Honor. Failure to prosecute. Failure to prosecute.
Without having
And again, folks, this is not legal advice either. This is just my opinion based upon my firsthand experience. So abundant that it is, and based upon my research and follow-up.
a valid driver's license pursuant to KSA 8-235A.
And so now she's reading statutory code, and that's the cloak for the fraud. That's a commercial element, statutes and executive orders, commercial items, commercial services are required to have contract terms and conditions, meaning they must be contracts.
No valid driver's license is a class.
And not having a driver's license means there's no contract subjecting one to that statute, at least not the driver's license. And if there's no registration and no insurance, that's more things that prove that there's no actual contractual nexus. And this is one of the basic things, guys. If you got any kind of identification in your pocket, whether it be a driver's license or a state ID, based upon that Social Security contract, that's the original contract that you signed up for when you turned 18. That then required you to turn around and, as men, sign up for the selective service.
B, non-person misdemeanor.
My, do you hear that? She's claiming in person, and yet it's a non-person misdemeanor. How does that work, folks? I'd be all over this. I don't understand. And this guy that's sitting down here in the bottom left is Mike, and he's the one that's supposedly so good at this stuff, and yet he's not piping up one word. I've already found all kinds of stuff that is content here, and he's just letting it fly by. Why do you suppose that? Because that's not the stuff he wants to dig on. He wants to dig on things that he thinks is stupid or errors in people's defenses.
And that means that if you were to be convicted, your sentence could be up to 6 months in the county jail, and your fine could be up to $1,000.
Yeah, that sounds like debtor's prison to me. If I ain't got a contract yet, you're going to hold me in jail and give me a fine to make sure that I go out and get that contract so it doesn't happen again. That sounds like not only debtor's prison, but that sounds like extortion at the highest
Borderline
degree.
slavery.
Well, it's extortion at the highest degree and kidnapping at the minimalist.
In count 2, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, you did then and there unlawfully operate or attempt to operate a motor vehicle.
Hi, Frank George here. This is the EMS foot massager. EMS is electrical muscle.
Upon a highway of this state, to wit, 1700 block of East Foxdale Street, Andover, Butler County, Kansas, while the vehicle was not registered in violation of
Okay, so there's no driver's license and no registration.
KSA 8-142. Failing to register a vehicle as alleged here by the state is an unclassified non-person misdemeanor.
Another non-person misdemeanor. How convenient. It's in person, but they're all non-person citations so far.
It has its own special penalties of a fine as high potentially of $2,500 and a jail sentence potentially anywhere from 30 days to 6 months.
So now they're trying to rack him up $2,500 for a registration. Registration is a pledge, folks. It's a gift. And they're going to charge him $25. Do you see the idiocy of how this system works, or how they work the system? Entirely against you, as if though you have no say, and it's because you've been indoctrinated into a public education system that has you believing that the English language they taught you is true and correct when it's a bastardized form.
In count 3, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, Anthony Edward Dubus,
Debus.
Thank you,
did
Myron.
then and there unlawfully and intentionally drive a motor vehicle upon a public highway or property open to use by the public and failed to provide proof of insurance upon demand.
Hey, so there's the other one I mentioned. So we have no driver's license, no registration, no insurance. So the only thing they could possibly be basing this stuff on is SS5. Okay? If you understand what's going on here, they don't have those contracts, and they're saying that he's required to. That's forced labor. That's the the use or threatened use of a law or legal system, criminal or civil, which means the abuse or threatened abuse. It's the same thing. In all cases, folks, there is no law that requires you to have an identification. If there is no law that requires you to have an identification, then how can they require you without an identification to register a vehicle or insure one? They can't. They must first come up with a reason to tell you why you have to have a license, an ID. There is no requirement except to be able to sign those documents that they say that now you're supposed to sign and fill out and pay for if you have one of those IDs. You can't go to a bank and open up a bank account without an ID. That's what it is. It's a commercial element. It's a commercial instrument. It's for contracting in all venues. You can use private credentials.
Banned by a law enforcement officer. Now, sir, if you had insurance when you were stopped, but just didn't have it with you or couldn't find it quickly, just provide proof to the county attorney and they'll most likely dismiss that charge. But if you really didn't have insurance, you're looking at a Class B non-person misdemeanor.
There's another one, non-person misdemeanor. So it's in person, and yet they're all non-person citations. This is great shit, folks. This is the insanity that we live in.
The law does require a minimum fine if you're convicted of $300 up to $1,000.
The world frightens and confuses.
Up to 6 months. Those are the charges against you. You do have the right to an attorney. You can hire any attorney of your choice, but if you cannot afford an attorney, you can apply and see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney.
So I want to remind everybody, if at this stage you don't have an attorney and you're in one of these courtrooms discussing this stuff with these people, and then they inform you that you have the right to have an attorney, is that a little late? I mean, shouldn't that be one of the first things that you're afforded? And yet they don't do that, do they? No, you don't have the right to afford an attorney on the roadside, most of them will say. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's a legal incident where they're asking for the legal name. You have the right to, nope, I need to call my attorney. And even if they arrest you, you don't say a fucking word. You don't sign a goddamn paper until they give you your call to your attorney. If that's the way you want to go. Again, those attorneys placate that you have to be a corporate entity. So it wouldn't be necessarily an attorney, but a representative. That's what the trust is so important, because then you become known and identified through private credentials through a private trust. That is a foreign entity that governs itself.
You don't have to have an attorney, though. You can waive your right to an attorney and represent yourself. So that's an order of business we need to take care of today, is whether you want an attorney or not. And then another is to make sure that you understand what the charges are and the possible penalties. Do you have any questions for me about that?
Notice she didn't say the nature and charges. Another common thing that they do is they don't really like putting those things together, because then people ask, well, what's the difference between them? Then they start learning. So they've even switched their rhetoric in these courts to not even mention the nature and cause of the charges, but do you understand the charges placed against you? Very objectionable. I'd be objecting almost every word this woman says. Again, the prosecutor's not here. You're acting as if though the information is presented and valid, as if though this court has jurisdiction. Yet nobody's told me what the territorial jurisdiction is, whether it's 18 U.S.C. 7 or 18 U.S.C. 2111, or whether what the subject matter is, whether it be commercial or criminal or um, trust or probate or tax or what, Nobody's told me any of this stuff. And yet you claim to have personal jurisdiction in person, yet that's a voluntary thing that the defendant must do upon receiving the proper summons in the state in which the plaintiff serves the defendant. And it must have a waiver of personal jurisdiction so that the defendant could then voluntarily sign over personal jurisdiction. The court does not get personal jurisdiction in any other way.
Yeah, I don't
By the letter of the law, that is.
understand the nature and cause of the charges. I have not had my accuser face me to bring the charges against me.
So he brought up the nature and causes. See, he caught that, and she didn't mention anything about causes or nature. So now he's going to bring it up. Let's see how he does.
As a violation of due process, and I want to correct for the record of the court, the named defendant is different than the named person.
Oh yeah, see, he's on it with the title and the name. This is one of the things I spoke about. The names are different because one is a title and one is a legal name. They cannot be the same. They are different styles, therefore they are different. Like I said in my last case, they had 8 different styles of the name.
I'm seeing myself. Hold on, let me make sure I get that in view of the camera. The named person here is different than the one named in the charges and the counts.
He's got us
being
now.
a difference of
Yeah, see, Mike is down there laughing. Oh, he's got us now. See, he's part of it. Notice he said us. He's got us now. And he thinks it's a little fucking game. He thinks this is funny. People like that, I hate people that act like that. Let me retract it. I don't hate the people. I hate the concept that people even think it's okay to act like that. This is bullshit. You're not supposed to be putting your brother through bullshit. And again, in reference to the name and the different styles, that's one of the things that helped me realize it's not about the name, because they can switch that name up all they want. But the real figure in it is that goddamn obligor number. That ain't gonna change. That's the social security number with 2 dashes taken out. And they always have. You give them that social security number, all they got to do is convert it. It's just a mere conversion. Now the name doesn't really matter as far as the style on that side of the ledger, because on the other side of the ledger, they're going to convert the last name to the firm name. So it doesn't matter what all those other styles are. None of them. What matters is the conversion of the last name and the fact that the obligor is identified by a number, and that never changes.
representation of who exactly it is the charges are against. That per KAR 8243 subsection A, exemption from the motor carrier safety regulations, A, the occasional transportation of personal property by private motor carriers that is not for compensation and is not in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise. I am exempt from these rules and regulations and if I need to get a USDOT number to show that I was not.
Ah, see, we just spoke about that last night or the night before, didn't we? The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Act and the DOT number. See, this guy's got a little bit of information. And again, notice Mike down there in the corner with the nice little smug smirk on his face, as if though this is idiocy. People really need to start paying attention, because this is what's going on in the courts, and this is definitely a violation. This man is giving them legal notice of how the law works, and it doesn't matter what their opinion is. The law is set, and it's the letter of the law. He's mentioning the letter of the law that says there's something inconsistent with your concept that everybody is subject to the traffic codes. There are exceptions. This is the exception, and you have no proof that I was being remunerated or compensated by any wages or anything by any contract, period. Again, you have no point of origin and final destination for any shipments, no invoices, no products, no services, no receipts, no customers, nothing. You have no logged hours, you have no logged miles. What is your evidence that I was performing commercially to be subject to those codes as a commercial enterprise? I was operating in my private capacity, moving my property from point A to point B. Nothing else. I don't know what these people...
Wouldn't there also be weigh-in records if he's traveling or if he's driving for commerce, like a weigh-in station?
Well, yeah, if he was over the road hauler, yeah. But if he's just a private commercial carrier that's just running passengers, you can do that in a van or something that doesn't constitute the weight limits.
I guess, yeah. Never mind. I was thinking something else.
Operating a commercial motor vehicle or as a common carrier for business or for profit or in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise, I will be more than happy to produce that USDOT number to show that I am in fact a private motor carrier, not operating in commerce, not driving, as I'm merely transporting and traveling.
And it's not a private motor carrier either. That's a motor carrier is a motor carrier. Okay, those things are not motors. They are engines first and foremost. They are not motors. They are engines, and they might have electrical components that operate just like motors with the electrical windings and stuff, but itself is an engine. Very purpose.
Do you think that's part of the push for the electric car?
No, it's
so they can change the classification.
No, that's just stupidity. The electric car is already gone by the wayside. In case you don't realize it, folks, the electric car is already gone by the wayside. They've already produced enough and found out that the tactics are just not economical. The people are telling them this. 8 hours to charge one of the fuckers to go 200 miles? It doesn't make sense.
Mr. DuBois, you are not charged under the Uniform Commercial Carriers Code as adopted by the state of Kansas.
As adopted by the state of Kansas. Okay? See, and now she's saying you're not being charged pursuant to that. Well, what's he being charged then? That's what you just used.
You are charged just as a motorist operating a motor vehicle. Again, not a commercial vehicle.
No, but a motor vehicle still is a motor vehicle for compensation. There is no law. Again, that's why it's pertinent to understand that this isn't even a right to travel. That's the wrong term. It's the freedom of movement, the right to move your property from point A to point B. There is nothing commercial about it. So when we look at the term motor vehicle, that's a commercial term. As we spoke of in Frank, let's be frank video, we talked about the lingua franca and that it's a vehicular language. The language is the vehicle, okay? Understand that the language in the documents is the vehicle. That is contract language.
These are not laws that are subject to the commercial code or to the administrative regulation that you referred.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Okay. They're attaching fines, fees, penalties. That is a commercial event known as a taxable event, and they're going to tax the costs to the defendant. Costs are taxed to the defendant. It is a taxable event. There are taxes that are supposed to be paid on it, and this is the problem. These people think that, well, it's not subject to the Uniform Commercial Code. You're using uniform commercial language. It is. You're using fines, fees, and penalties. That's commerce. It is subject to Uniform Commercial Code. And folks, the Uniform Commercial Code is international law. They do know this is the venue. They do know that you are foreign. They do know this. Put that in your mind. Placate that they may not know it, but just to be sure they know it, so you better know it too. So that when they run this kind of bullshit, you can back them right up into their own fucking corner.
Although you mentioned the word operating, operating is a term used for the furtherance of a commercial enterprise, or driving, operating, the physical use or furtherance of for-profit business or for compensation.
Yes.
Again, absolutely correct. As we discussed last night, 32 CFR 1602.4. The Selective Service is responsible for all operations and administrations. Period. It is for the furtherance of their commercial fiat paperwork, the orders and promises.
Big dummy. Operating is a term used in a lot of contexts.
Dummy, operating is a term used in a lot of contexts. No, he just specified it in the use of the commercial context. See, this guy is a total idiot. Sorry, Mike, you're an idiot.
It may under the commercial code, but not under the code otherwise.
It is.
It may under the commercial code, but not the code otherwise. Well, what is the code you're talking about? Because you still haven't discussed that. Because now we're getting into the matter of the subject matter. See, this is what they're trying to avoid. You got to understand what they're doing here when they're playing these fucking word games. It is a word game. It is a battle of the forms. And the words on those forms is what draws you into that battle.
Under Kansas, correct?
It is not under Chapter 8 of the Kansas statutes or Chapter 40, which you're filed under. But we can address that at a later date at a trial or a motions hearing if necessary. But I do not see the statutory language that you're addressing being applicable to these statutes, at least preliminarily at this hearing.
It
We'll have to go back and look at those maybe.
is within, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's my ruling there. And then on the name issue, I am not tracking you there. The only difference I see is that at the top of the document, state of Kansas and your name are capitalized.
Yep, that capitalized name is now a title. Below. Again, if you don't understand English, then you won't understand the difference. And it is pertinent, as all parties must be identified to such certainty that there is no error. So if you're identifying one thing, which is a title, and another thing, which is a name, then they are two separate things.
And in the individual charges, it's traditional capital letter of the first name, all lowercase of the remaining names. throughout, so I'm not following that argument. Again,
I'm not following that argument because maybe you don't understand English. Let me point it out to you. Do I need to go get an English major and have him come in and instruct you that the one on the top is a title and not a name? Though it looks like a name, it is in the style of a title. So what is the title? What is it entitling? It is a document of title.
and if you want to readdress that at a later date, we can, but I'm just not seeing that argument.
Okay.
Now
Well,
then,
I motion and move this court to dismiss this case for the motion I have filed and for the brief in support of motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction.
sir, I do not have,
Okay, so evidently he filed a document to move the court to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction. So let's see what he's got here.
any such motion or brief in support. Mr. Regier,
Oh yeah, see, of course they don't. Of course they don't. So he probably put together a pretty good motion to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction. This is certainly not surprising.
have you received any such documents?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor, and so I fail to see, at least at this juncture, how such a motion is properly brought before the court. If
No, Your Honor, and so at this time or junction, I fail to see how a motion is properly brought before the court. You fail to see how a motion is properly brought before the court? Listen to the guy's statement. He just admitted he doesn't understand English either, because what he said was he doesn't understand how a motion is properly brought before the court. If you don't understand how a motion is properly brought before the court, then what are you doing sitting in that chair? Have you ever brought a motion properly before the court? So they're just giving him a runaround of rhetoric, trying to baffle him with the language. And they're doing pretty good so far, it seems. Because I wouldn't let this go. I'd be, well, if you didn't get the motion I filed, then somebody's not doing their job, and I don't have any faith in this courtroom at all. So I'm out. You guys have a good day. And if you think you have anything better than what you've already posed, where I did give you a motion to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction, you damn well better be able to come back and prove your fucking jurisdiction. Period.
unless the court is aware of something that I am not aware of.
Well, that's what I'm trying.
Unless the court is aware of something I'm not aware of. See, the quote defendant here, Anthony Edward Dubus, he's already made them aware. They're ignoring it, and now they're moving forth in his public forum to try to convince other people that see this that the guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and that they do. You know, these people have so much experience, right? Well, understand, people, these people go to college, and in that college to learn this law, they actually go through theater. They practice this shit in classroom. It's a theatrical performance. That's it.
Trying to decide if it's properly before the court. Mr. Dubois, who did you file the motion and brief with?
Well,
Or did
seeing
you-
as your guys' e-file is down,
Your guys' e-file. That right there tells you all you need to know about whether or not this thing was filed.
for
Mhm.
Yeah, see, he picks up on the your guys's, which I admit is, you know, kind of bad grammar, but he doesn't pick up on the rest of the bad grammar, right?
what is it? It's called a ransom malware or something. I cannot e-file.
Right,
so
but you can mail it, or you can walk it into the clerk of the court. Have you done that?
Yes, I've mailed it. By email,
But-
which a
and I'm
court
sorry,
clerk
but I-
said I could.
Go ahead, please. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. It was by email, which the court clerk said I could, considering the e-file was down. And I
Alright.
can't really go 20-something miles to do that, considering my personal property was stolen.
Judge,
When did you
to-
email it, sir? When did you email it?
A while.
See, and this guy's kind of on top of it a little bit here. He did it by email, and he's keeping track of it because he's on it. He's looking it up. He knows he's got it, and he's going to look it up. And this is the importance of having those email trackers, as well as it's kind of funny when you send somebody like this an email, and you look at it, and you see how they open it at like 3 o'clock in the morning because they're really fucking worried about it. They can't sleep, so they open it at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, or they open it repeatedly, 10, 15, 20 times, reading it and rereading it and rereading it. And then you see that other people, they passed it on to other people, and the other people opened it. And you got all these people interested in these emails, and then all of a sudden, nobody's seen it.
Ago.
Judge,
Yeah.
Yes.
we do not accept emailed filings, only faxed or by mail or person.
And so the clerk told them to go ahead and send it by email, even though she knew you were supposed to do it by fax. Okay? This is purposely misinstructing people, and that's again why I say if you're going to do the emails, do it with an email tracker so you can keep track of who's opening it and when, how many times it gets opened. It'll tell you all that stuff. You get a good email tracker.
Okay, I was told that they do not have fax, so I could not do that. So email would be okay.
He may have called the wrong courthouse then.
They spent 10 minutes finding my case because your guys' system was down.
Yeah, and then he called the wrong courthouse. No, you misled him. You, like he said, you just spent 10 minutes on the phone tracking his case down. 10 minutes to track down a case because your electronic filing system was down.
So I'm fairly certain it was the correct one.
Okay. Do you recall which you filed or which court you called?
And Harry Nutt says, I'm shocked that flag has no gold fringe. She's impersonating a real judge in the Republic. Absolutely. Absolutely. Who else would sit, and this is in a private room. This isn't in a courtroom, so that may be a distinction, and maybe they aren't even aware of the difference. But if this judge is going to be sitting in a bench, they damn well better have that fucking Admiralty flag there. Excuse my language.
Let me go to my sent. T. Stafford at bucokansas.com.
I think that might be at the county courthouse, not the district courthouse.
Okay. So if you want to file something,
that might be at the county courthouse, not the district courthouse. Though that both stations are in the same damn building. They don't have separate courthouses for the separate courts. You have a county court, and they perform all of their courts in there. Even in the county seat, they hold municipal court in that county courthouse. They don't have several different courthouses for the several different venues that the courts operate under.
sir, let's make sure you file it in a fashion that.
By the way, I'm gonna mildly defend him here. He's in the right county. He doesn't know. This stuff is intricate. Frankly, I don't know anymore in Cook County because Yesenia takes care of all of it for me. But it's hard. You're so over your head you can't find the right place to start at, which is not really a knock. But then in substance, you're even worse.
We'll get it.
Which is not really even a knock. How is that not a knock if you as an attorney are admitting it's confusing and hard to deal with? Let alone somebody that's not learned in it and has to take directions from the clerk of court that then turns around and I'm going to say lies. I would presume that the clerk is the one lying and not this young Anthony Edward DuBois.
Officially recognized. So Ashley, how do you suggest he file motions and the like?
He will either need to
Yeah.
mail us a copy of it or he can fax file.
And is your guys' fax act?
Yes, I will give him credit. A lot of times they just come up here and just say things. He dropped names. He had stuff. He tried to file something. It's nonsense. If he had gotten it filed, it would be denied. That's okay. But it's clear to me he actually did try to file something, despite the fact that your guys' system doesn't work.
Yes, that has been the whole time.
Okay,
It's
and
not effective, yes.
what's the fax number?
Our fax number is 316-321-9486.
Send him a fax, folks. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm messing around with you. But they dox themselves.
Okay, and my honor, I have one last question. For the nature and cause of these charges, is it a criminal or is it a civil matter?
Here we go. And this is, Jen, this is Law Talk with Mike. This is Mike down in the corner here. And he acts like a child through this stuff, you know. This guy's asking a serious question. Look at him down here in the corner. And he starts giggling and laughing like a child, like nature and cause isn't a big deal. It's the issue. It is the issue. Pay attention, folks, because there are certain deceptive variances from categorical, pre-treatment, classification standards that are fundamentally different in nature.
This is a criminal matter.
Okay,
Okay, so we've got a traffic offense that they've turned into a criminal matter. Traffic offenses are non-jailable offenses. Contact the Department of Transportation at the federal level and ask them, are traffic violations arrestable offenses? They will tell you no. Now what they've done is they've converted it, even though the guy doesn't have any contracts of such, converted it to a criminal act.
as it is a criminal matter, there are two jurisdictions which I may be tried. One is the common law, and the other is a military tribunal.
Wrong.
And that's why, and listen to him, he's already down there saying wrong, and this is absolutely correct. And this is why Harry Nutt put that note down there about the flag. See, when they try to provide that it's a criminal act, it has to be a military function. In order to hunt down a criminal, they have to put out a posse in the old days. Today they call them warrants.
Wrong.
Which of those two do you intend to try me in?
Continue to try you in this one, sir.
Which is this one? Please elaborate.
Criminal, the criminal one.
Well, criminal has two jurisdictions. It is either the common law or it is the military tribunal.
Well, sir, we're not going to go into that at this point.
Well, sir, we're not going to go into that at this point. Placating that at some point, yeah, you got to. See, again, folks, gentlemen, guys, pay attention. Hop onto the internet, put in the search bar, how do I find my selective service number? What's going to happen is it's going to pop up and it'll show you a social security site that you can log into. And when you scroll down, it's going to tell you to enter in your last name and whatever. It's going to ask you to enter in the social security number with no dashes. That's the obligor number. That's that social security number with no dashes. Now let me ask you, if they can program it into the computer to put the two dashes in there, why are they specifically not doing that and telling you to enter in the social security number with no dashes? Why would that be required? And if that's
They
required,
can't
then why aren't you?
require, they can't
Well,
require
no.
a social security whatsoever.
Well, no, they
Like
can
there's laws
require that you.
against that.
Well, no, they can require you to put the social security number in there to find a certain piece of information, and they can also instruct you not to include the dashes. The difference is not the social security number. The difference is in the instruction of not knowing, of not using the dashes. What's the difference?
Right.
It's an access. It gives you access. You can't use the social security number for access. That's for them to convert so they have access.
Are you refusing to acknowledge to me and tell me the nature and cause of the charges?
I have,
And perfect point. We're not going to discuss this at this point in time. You have to. In order for him to qualify his defense, he has to know what venue you are charging him in. If you are going to deny that, you are not giving him equal consideration to prepare that defense against those that are prepared to bring the offense. They know what the venue is, right? I mean, they're the ones picking it. So he has a right to know. So again, listen to her some more.
told you the nature and the cause of the charges.
It's
And
You
then
are not
the
elaborating.
remaining, I think the remaining issues,
She did not tell him the nature and cause of the charges. She asked him if he understood the charges. She never explained the nature and cause of the charges, not once. What she did, again, without a prosecutor there, which is still only secondhand, now she's third hand. She's reading it from a charging document presented by a prosecutor that's not there and saying that that's the cause and charges. That's not the cause and charges. That's a statement from a fucking prosecuting attorney that didn't show up.
sir, is whether you're going to hire
And that statement on that document with nobody on the stand to testify, and that's not even evidence. They can't even use that as evidence in a case, in case you don't understand that. Somebody has to get on the stand and testify to it. Otherwise, it's hearsay, particularly coming from a prosecutor, and then the prosecutor not being there and the judge reading it off as if though that explains the nature and cause. It doesn't.
hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent yourself?
My Honor, I need to know whether or not this is going to be in the common law or a military tribunal.
She told you it's going to be right here. And you don't get to demand to know anything.
Well, I'm going to,
Excuse me? It's called discovery and exculpatory evidence. Again, Law Mike, you prove yourself to be an idiot. That was a blanket, stupid statement. You don't have the right to request it. Bullshit. You have the right to every defense.
ask you one more time. Are you going to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent?
And again, in these administrative courts, you cannot hire an attorney under Texas Rule Civil Procedure 12, wherein even as a president of a company, you cannot hire an attorney. That is a decision left strictly to the board of directors.
Present yourself, sir.
Again, I'm not representing myself. I am sui juris in proper persona or propria persona.
So you're not going to have an attorney, or are you?
No, I'm not going to be presented or re-presented by any British agent registrant or anybody else to be a ward of the state. I'm standing on my rights and I do not abrogate them. And if you're going,
I do not abrogate them. The guy knows a little bit about language. He is not going to abrogate them to then have to turn around and subrogate them back to himself. This guy knows a little bit of the language. Just saying.
To continue to move this court without any sort of evidence. Well, I guess I'll have to file that, but
We're going to set your hearing.
In objection. What would an objection be here? I still don't comprehend the nature and cause of the charges. How can I prepare to be ready and able to defend myself at the next hearing if I don't even know what subject or what the nature is, so I can properly defend against that nature?
How do you want to plead?
That was disappointing. He really set that up. Blah blah blah. We're reaching a crescendo, and then he's like, "If you're gonna, not listen to me, then I'm going to have to file that."
To the charges first. Then, if you don't want to have an attorney, how do you want to plead to no valid driver's license?
My Honor, are you attempting to administer
God.
the trust without permission and consent?
Oh, and notice that he said my honor. That's one of my little quirks. I'm not going to go in there and say your honor. Fuck you. This is based on my honor. Very good job.
I'm asking you for your
I've
response.
had enough of this crap. My honor is an inappropriate way to address the judge. Just hold him in contempt.
Fuck you, pissy ass motherfucker. Yeah, come on. This inappropriate
What
way
would
to
that
address
be
the judge.
contempt of? Contempt that she has no honor? That is a contemptuous thing.
Excuse me, folks. What a contemptuous thing to say, my honor instead of your honor. See, that's the problem with people like this. Again, Harry Nutt said something about this lady looks like she belongs at Walmart 2 o'clock in the morning in a pair of spandex. Yeah, I agree, this is kind of shit that we have to go up against. These people are totally incompetent, and we got some clown down in the left-hand corner crying for them, trying to white knight over one term, my honor, instead of your honor, placating that the young man is standing in his honor. He doesn't give a fuck about your honor. Obviously, you don't have any. Placating that you have some authority over somebody else just because you dictate some statute for your paycheck. That ain't the way it works, folks. People are waking up. I'm good. I'm glad to see this young man doing this.
I'm tired of these people.
I'm giving you the chance to respond. Do you want to plead to this charge?
I'm tired of these people. Like, it wears him out to have to look and see people standing up for their rights and trying to fix the way people act in these rooms. This young man's doing a very well job, a lot better than I ever fucking did.
Charge or not?
My Honor, I don't make any pleas as I am appearing in proprietary persona, and any plea would submit jurisdiction to the court.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A plea of guilt or plea of not guilty is still a plea that there is an issue of a debt. While the scripture says, owe no man anything but to love one another. For to love one another is to fulfill the law. So just posing a debt is right in line with 18 U.S.C. 1589, forced labor. Telling somebody that they owe some kind of debt and now they have to work it off somehow or end up in jail or paying fines. That's a 20-year sentence, folks.
am here challenging jurisdiction under the common law as I am owed the law of peace.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Did you catch that, folks? I've been telling you, this is all military, and it's based on the Battle of the Forms, and when you start doing those forms, you're entering into the war. He's coming at it in a peaceful manner, Common law of the land, law of peace. Great job so far, I think.
And this is a
This guy's got a trifold. He really does.
fraud action.
Like a trifold is a bad thing to have to keep it in your memory so you get it down pat so you can stand on it. This guy's an idiot. Mike, you're an idiot.
As fraud in the inducement from the beginning under due process violations from Deputy Khalid Barake.
I don't know if you could get away with fraud in the inducement other than to pose that they're causing you to act like an officer of the court under Rule 17 of Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. And again, that's why that flag is so important. It is supposed to be an admiralty flag so that you do know you're operating in an international venue and you have the international backing at your door.
And the other officers or sheriffs that were on scene. And if you're attempting to administer the trust without consent of myself.
This guy needs to be introduced to the Sallyport stash. That's what I'm saying.
Again, Mike, you're an idiot. He mentions trust law, the law that operates and guides the contracts within. And again, you people need to understand that it's the Global Postal Trust Services for all events accounted in everything posted. It's simple language. Federal government means all entities of the government of the United States, including the United States Postal Service, who happens to be the registered agent already, and the Postal Regulatory Commission, telling us it is a military operation at the highest level.
Living man, the grantor, in common law, which is above Admiralty Maritime Law, then you will be in violation of Article 3, Section 2, the trial of all crimes, except in case of impeachment, shall be jury, and such trial shall be held in a state where said crime shall have been committed, but when they are not committed with any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. And as there is a difference between the Republic State Kansas before the state of Kansas was brought into the Federation of the Union of States.
And this is what I spoke of last night in regards to getting that National Archives documents, the certified copies of the Constitution of 1787 and the certified copy of the Bill of Rights 1989 to 91. That's how you would bring this kind of a case in. You would have that as your law, and that would defeat the nature and cause of the charges in those courts.
And you will also be.
But again, that wouldn't be going in there accusing them of treason or fraud in the inducement or anything. If he's coming to peace, then you come with no accusations. So again, though, I like how this guy's doing it. He's got a couple things that are contradictory, and that's why it's important to go over these and try to learn from them as well ourselves, so that when we get into these situations, we don't make those same errors. You're contradicting yourself when you say you're coming in peace, but then turn around and make accusations of fraud.
In violation of.
I talked to Alex. He is covering Chile to the extent that it happens, but there may be a continuance.
I'm getting it real quick. 18 U.S. Code sections 2381, treason. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States, the corporation, not United States of America or for America, levies war against them or adheres to the enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere is
Oh, that's it. That's it. He's just accused Judge Webster of capital felony treason here. Let's see how this goes.
guilty of
I don't see any problem with it, again, except for the fact that he's coming in peace. So it's a contradictory thing. You shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. However, it's not wrong to give them notice of what their officers might do to them if they find out they did something wrong. You're not accusing them. You're just letting them know that, hey, according to your law, if your commanding officer gets this, he's going to throw you under the bus. He's not going to take these charges. Dumb bitch ass slaves. Excuse my language.
treason and shall suffer death or shall be imprisoned not less than 5 years and fined under this title, but not less than $10,000,
Yeah.
and shall be incapable of holding any office under the
Yeah, we're all quaking in our boots. Judge Webster's headed for the death penalty here. I can't even.
It's one of the punishments for
Now,
treason.
It most certainly
The
is.
death
And
penalty?
yeah, and that's why I don't get. See, Mike seems to be an older gentleman of some kind of years and some kind of reasonable logic, but he seems to be insane, laughing there, sitting there laughing like a little child over the very serious charges being brought in a case, as if though it's funny. This young man is very serious, and he's putting something out. And he's putting something out, yes, and he's putting something out that, again, though it's contradictory, it's not a light subject. So it's hard not to mention it. It's hard not to say, hey, listen, I know a little bit more than what you think, and it may not go well for you. I'm telling you, those laws are not, I'm not subject to those laws because of this, this, and this. He's giving them exculpatory evidence that is material fact evidence on their record that shows the inconsistencies. This is the way the law is supposed to work. There's supposed to be something for it and something against it. When you find those inconsistencies and exceptions and show how they apply, they're not supposed to say, no, that's not the way it works. No, they're supposed to look at it and say, okay, because the administrative law judge, the Postal Service Board of Contract Appeals, and the judicial officer, which is a neutral and independent forum within the United States Postal Service as the judicial officer department, they're supposed to be neutral and independent. That's neutral. So that means when you give them some kind of information, it's just like being sitting on the bench there, not as a judge, but as an arbitrator, to be able to take a look at both sides of the information and say, well, yeah, he's right, this doesn't apply. Not just sit there and blatantly say, well, no, in all my 40 years, we've never done it that way. Kind of proves your bias.
And also in on it for 40 years.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It proves your bias. You're in on it.
Anthony Edward Dubus, the proper case trade name, not the all caps legal entity of which you're attempting to administer the trust of, am an American state national, a Kansas state national per 8 U.S.C. 1101, subsection 21, and is recognized by the Kansas Human Rights Commission as I have.
Ooh, the Human Rights Commission. This lady better watch out. Like I said, he did make some serious accusations. And that Human Rights Commission, again, that's a commission. That's a military unit, folks. That's why it's called commission. They get a commission per diem.
Dealings with them going over my nationality in regards to a corporation in which I have a complaint filed against has already been refused mediation by the company and is being investigated by Barbara Carper, the special investigator of Kansas Human Rights Commission.
Ooh, he's got the special investigator in on it. Remember what a special investigator is? This guy sounds like he's going to have the state's attorney general on his side under the common law. Did you know that's their priority duty, folks? Your state attorney general, his priority duty is to serve the people under the common law.
Over my case.
And don't believe me, folks. Don't believe the neighbor. Don't believe the government. For crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. If you think I'm up here just babbling and Mike knows a fucking thing, you might want to do some research. Mike, you're an idiot.
That's why you notify him, isn't it?
Specifically.
Damn
And
right.
if you're attempting to
Okay.
move this case against myself, you are in violation of executing law rather than just judging on it.
Absolutely correct. She's becoming the executioner. She is not an executioner. She is not an executive. She's a mere administrator. And the clerk of court is the one that assigned her. Then she will make her order, and the clerk of court will issue it. This young man seems to have some people on his side. I want to see the results of this one. So, Mike, if you're out there, and one of the things I want to point out about this situation, because I'm interested in the results on this one, notice Mike doesn't do any follow-up. Look at all of his videos. I don't recall, and if you find any, you please let me know. But I don't recall any videos where he followed up on such situations. And if he did, he might find some wins. I'm going to pose that this guy might be one of those. Just a hint, just a guess, just a prophecy, you might even want to call it.
Which, if I need to pull up that statute
Sir, do you,
case as well.
sir, do you still have the same phone number you had posted on your bond that you have with AAA Butler County Bail Bonds? Is that still?
Now, notice he was in a role. He was running his thing, and she on the bench, having no decorum and supposed to be holding the utmost respect, interrupted him just merely to distract him. This is one of their ploys, people, to distract him, to ask him a question that has no pertinent relevance at this point in time that can be verified later on. Specifically interrupting him to cause a distraction. Disrespectful. Discordious.
Your current phone number?
My honor, Mrs.
316-25.
How do you like that, Mike? You and your wimpy ass white knighting over my honor. This woman has no honor. Again, as he was speaking, she interrupts to ask him a mundane question of validation of a number that could be done later on and is not pertinent and relevant to the nature and causes of what she's trying to get out. This is fucking, this is why I get so sick. This woman seems to be of age and should be reasonably able to discern that one day somebody might come across that fucking room and just do something.
Wizard, all you gotta do is look at her.
Yeah, I'm not posing that anybody should, but you damn well should know that that's the nature of people, and that is cause for them to act like that. How's that for your nature and cause, Mike?
She obviously has no discernment.
Webster.
None. Well, no, I'm going to say she's got some discernment because, again, she interrupted on purpose. They practice this. This is a performance. And look at her sit up there with her head cocked to the side, like, really? She doesn't think anything's going to happen.
She's
I'm anxious. I'm anxious to see this lady locked up. You know, I'm anxious to see her locked up.
Webster, it is, you may call me either Anthony Dubus or Anthony Edward Dubus. I do not accept the term sir. Although,
well.
yes, my phone number is still the same at 316-252-9724.
All right.
So we got his number, and this is just recently. So I'm wondering if I might not want to give him a shout sometime and see how it's going. See, that's how you follow up, Mike. Mike check. 1, 2, 3. Follow up.
And is your address, okay, Bess's iPhone is locked. And Mr. Dubois, is your address still homeless, or do you have something more specific?
And she still doesn't know how to pronounce it. This is fucking idiocy, people. How many times does the guy have to tell her his name is Dubois? She still keeps calling him DeBoss.
At this time?
See, they refuse to put down my address. I am within Wichita, Kansas, rural free delivery within the 4 corners.
Is your address still homeless, or do you have something more specific at this time? that's
Yeah, and see, I don't play with those kind of things, but this guy is right on with that rural free delivery again. You notice again, I like this guy. I'm liking how he looks kind of young and has a head full of knowledge. I hope this man goes a long way, because as far as I see, he's on the right track. So the rural free delivery. Instead of playing that game, I just use a 4-line address. Brother Keith in Ecclesia, care of Joyce, and then the street address, and then the city, state, and the zip in the square brackets. That's a 4-line address, and you notice, folks, there's no last name.
makes my day.
Corner rule 67202, aka the brackets around 67.
I get my mail like that all the time. No last name.
7202, and they refused to put down my rural free delivery address and put me as homeless instead, because they could not accept it. They refused. Also, Deputy Khaled Barricade, when I was taken to...
See, and that's one of the things. They again, folks, they need that legal name and the address along with that social security number. That's what's placating that you are a contract officer of the United States Postal Service as a registered agent of service of process. That's the presumption.
How does the zip code play into that? Because the way I get my mail, I can refuse it if it has a zip code, because there is no zip code in that general delivery. And it's much like rural delivery or rural free delivery. It falls under the same categories as far as sorting and whatnot.
Right. So what do you use for a zip code in that?
I don't use one. There is no zip
code.
You
don't use one. Then you don't use one. So it doesn't play anything in.
Well, I can deny it, or I can reject it, rather, not deny. I can reject it for an improper mailing address. If they present it to me at the post office and it has a zip code, because I actually ended up getting a postal master removed and moved to a different position within the post office, a different,
So under the rural free delivery, you've actually got a distinct route carrier number,
right?
Which is held by the carrier. That's his name and badge number.
But there is no route. The way I do it is a little bit different. It's neither here nor there for the. It's just a sidetrack.
Well, no.
So I don't want to sidetrack.
No, it is. Well, no, it is. You're right on point. Again, that's a private carrier route number. That's his badge and his name and badge number. He's the surety.
The postal delivery person, right?
Right. He's the registered agent already. So you use his routing number. Don't you get it?
Butler County Detention Center refused that there were any magistrates at all within any of the courts, which per due process of common law, I was to be taken before a magistrate or a tribunal, both judicial, either Article 3 or 4, in front of a magistrate judge to be decided whether or not I was even within the jurisdiction to be tried for these charges.
And he's absolutely correct. But again, that's why I urge you to get that certified copy of the Constitution 1787 and the certified copy of the Bill of Rights 1789-91, so you can assert that common law jurisdiction by having those documents with you in that certified form, stating that that is the law. Again, you're going to follow God. You're under God's law, and you are upholding the supreme law. I am under God's law only, upholding the supreme law. And as far as the Constitution says, the supreme law of the land is that of the common law. Under the common law, there is a Bill of Rights.
Or commercial crimes.
Your next court date.
And those Bill of Rights isn't your rights. It's what protects you from being co-joined with your person at the whim of somebody else's fucking pen. Simply because they know your name.
Will be
Wizard, I gotta
2 weeks
bounce.
from Monday. What do you have?
All right, brother. Thanks for coming up.
Ashley,
Yep, thanks.
2 weeks from this past Monday. What is it?
I believe that
I'll make this in person so you can take him into custody, please.
that is going to be Monday, the 18th.
This guy is just insane. Mike, you are an idiot. Sitting here proclaiming that you want them to lock your brother up just because it tickles your fancy. This is the insanity of people like you, Mike. Get over it.
All right, Mr. Dubois, your next court date is December 18th at 8 a.m. by Zoom. You can always appear in the courthouse personally if you like.
Okay, so he had another appearance on the 18th of December, and he gave his phone number out in this one. So I think I might go ahead and give this young man a call and introduce myself, see what's going on, just so I can do some further follow-up, and maybe we can get him on panel.
I am appointing Attorney Darren Patterson.
Oh,
Now,
yes.
if you don't want to use him,
I do not accept any appointment of any attorney.
And again, he's absolutely correct. Because if he's coming in propria persona and for himself, again, these administrative courts operate under Texas Rule of Civil Procedure 12, where you can only hire an attorney under a board of directors. So you have to be in a corporate fashion organized under the laws of the United States through 12 U.S.C. 614, having the committal letters and all that, the charter and all that with the Federal Reserve, saying that you're able to establish the cooperation under 18 U.S.C. 8, obligations and other securities of the United States in issuing and receiving those kind of tendered instruments through a clerk.
Before you deny that appointment, be aware that it comes with a free membership to Planet Fitness.
but I show that you don't have a specific residence. Do you have a job?
So he doesn't have a specific residence. So he's obviously not under resident determination for income tax purposes. So he's not claiming that he's a resident. And that is something that, again, we've discussed many times. So another jurisdictional element that they don't have. I don't see how these people can operate in this fashion and think the rest of the people on this land aren't going to start standing up against it someday. This is fucking ridiculous, Mike.
Employment?
I did, and then these actions against myself from the state of Kansas caused me not to have it anymore, which.
So he has no income either. See, they're losing out on all of their jurisdictional elements that qualify him as a defendant. He said he's an American state national, so he doesn't have a state ID or a driver's license or insurance or registration. These people are fucked.
I am in process of finding another one, putting in applications every day and making sure I do my due diligence to make sure that I can gain my compensation and my livable wage.
See, he's prepared with his language and everything. I'll bet this is one guy that does a W, or a exemption on W-4, knowing that taxes are voluntary too. I'll guarantee it. I got to give this guy a call.
Your attorney is Darren Patterson.
My honor.
His number is 316.
Yeah, she can't just appoint somebody. You can't force an attorney on somebody. This is what happened in my last case 7 years ago. They had me, and coincidentally, his name was Justin, and they said it was Lees. And however, it was spelled L-I-E-S. L-I-E-S, and somehow it's pronounced Lees. Quite the lie, I think. But anyway, I told him that in one sentence, that if you speak up for me in that courtroom, I will hold you liable. He didn't make one peep the entire trial. Not one. So, back to it. And I did drop the link down there for anybody that wants to come up and join the panel. We've got a few minutes left on this, and then we're going to be done. We've got 7 minutes here, so we're probably looking at another half hour, and then we're done.
322-7700. Ashley, please send him Mr. Patterson, the appointment and the court
Objection. I told you, don't call me sir or mister.
date. I want you two to talk. If he can be of any service to you, I would encourage you to let him do so. If you have any questions or if you want him to help you with any motions, he can advise you on that. But I think at this point, there is a lot of confusion on your part about.
A lot of confusion on your part. No, the confusion is none. I'm not confused at all. You're committing treason. The young man is technically correct, again. But again, if he's going to come in peace, you can't turn around and contradict yourself and accuse him of treason.
There's no confusion.
And how it works? Did you
I've
go to
researched
law school,
more than-
Mr. Dubois? Did you go to law school? Are you a licensed attorney?
Again, calling him Dubois.
It is Anthony Dubois or Anthony Edward Dubois. No, I am not a licensed practice attorney, although that does not stop the common law right of.
Hey, jackass, you don't get to choose how the judge addresses you as long as it's within reason, sir.
You don't get the right to choose how the judge addresses you, but you somehow want a white knight against him saying my honor. You facetious motherfuckers.
Mr. and your surname, your first name, any of those are acceptable whether you like it or not. Just like
Acceptable whether you like it or not. Yeah, they are acceptable to others. But again, like I said earlier on Paul's stream, you can rename yourself every day if you wish.
like when you get put in jail eventually from this stupidity, you don't have to consent to that either.
Of any.
Let me tell you, folks, again, when we're talking about these probate courts, it is a matter of consent. You consented to fill out the SS5. You withdraw and rescind that consent and correct the records. Mike.
Practicing law for themselves, or not, my bad, not practicing, as that is the commercial term, enacting law and being in court for themselves, on behalf of themselves.
See, this guy knows the importance of the words. That's why I got to get a hold of him. This is intriguing.
And to have any form of counsel they deem necessary.
All right, we do have finally.
Any form of counsel they deem necessary. Hebrews 6, verse 17. God more willing to abundantly shew unto the heirs of Abraham the immutable promise to seek his counsel and did so under an oath to himself. That's the original oath with the original promise sealed with his own oath.
A point we agree on that you don't have to have counsel. But
Then why are you trying to enforce that he has to accept that counsel? He told you he is not able to take on that counsel. Well, here, we're going to appoint you counsel anyway. See how contradictory this woman is? You don't have to have counsel. We're going to appoint you counsel anyway, but you don't have to have counsel. Fucking stupid. Come on, Mike.
I want Mr. Patterson available to you because you have, in this court's opinion, mixed federal law and state law and other sources of law that don't.
Let's just say you're not good.
No, it's the state that's trying to avoid the common law. He hasn't mixed any law except for when I saw him make that accusation. Okay? So far he's stuck with the common law with that one exception.
Go together.
May I
just
elaborate?
want him to be available to
No.
you. I think we have exhausted this particular hearing, the purpose of which is merely to make sure you know what the charges are, the possible penalties.
To make sure you know what the charges are and not the nature and the cause. Okay? Again, he questioned the nature and cause, and they're not addressing that because their main interest in this is to push the charges.
And your rights that I have gone over with you, including your right to counsel, which I'm hearing you say you don't wish to utilize. But nevertheless, I'm going to direct Mr. Patterson to at least be available to you, that you be here again December 18th at 8 a.m. by Zoom. And I'm going to continue your bond until that date and time. So
they did put a bond on him, okay? So that means, remember folks, 18 U.S.C. 8, obligations and other securities of the United States includes all bonds. It is an obligation or security of the United States. United States. Again, federal government means all entities of the government of the United States.
anything else, Mr. Anthony Edward Dubois? Please take that up. Thank you. Please.
Again, Dubois, this bitch is fucking stupid, deaf, or doing it on purpose.
Take that up at the next hearing after you've had time to talk to Mr. Patterson.
Oh, and look at Charles Jordan over here. Got his wife petting him.
Okay, my last final thing I want to say is I'm already filing Kansas Commission on Judicial Conduct complaint against a judge, and that would be the prior judge, Mr.
Oh, so they already had some kind of hearing here, and now they're doing the same thing they did with me. They switched judges on him. See, I had 4 judges and 8 different styles of the name in my last case.
Oh God, what's it, Mr. Lee, I believe, and I will be adding you to the complaint as well, as you are violating my due process right and my 6th Amendment right.
And he is absolutely right. Again, folks, and this is not a confluence of law or anything. This is the law that they're subject to, and this is what they're subject to if they are found in violation. You can mention specifically 18 U.S.C. 1589. That's that forced labor. Because you were forced to come in and fight something so fucking, what do they call it, frivolous? It's a 12B. They stated absolutely nothing upon which a claim can be granted, which relief can be granted. They've not stated a proper claim upon which relief can be granted. Again, they have none of the jurisdictional elements to actually charge him. They have no nature, and therefore there is no cause.
Well, you're welcome to do that, sir, if you want, but at this time, this hearing is adjourned.
Okay, and I also want to mention that Mr. Regier has not moved this case against myself. And that,
Yeah, he hasn't. He's not spoken one word except in concurrence with the court and what they deemed earlier, and that was nothing. He still didn't state anything in regards to what the state is bringing as a prosecutor.
the witness, firsthand witness that needs to be
Oh, you're poking the bear here, friend. You are poking the bear.
present to move this case against myself is not present.
Absolutely correct. See, this guy isn't. He's posing as he's some kind of prosecutor, but he's not. He's not in the right capacity. Otherwise, he'd have been speaking up. He's there for show. Again, folks, it's a performance.
Your
And is a
argument,
violation of my Sixth Amendment. I yield.
your
I yield.
your arguments are noted, and we
That's Robert's Rules of Procedure.
are in recess. You are excused at this time, Mr. Anthony Edward Dubois.
Dubus, thank you. My honor.
Dubus. I will get it, Dubus.
You're fine. And in the reference to the family
You're not.
of which you are probably familiar with,
Yes.
I am the only person actually up being within common law. They subject themselves as citizens, of which I'm not.
See, he's making a point about that identification right here. He's clarifying that even though the rest of his family members that they evidently know how they, heaven forbid, how they know. Evidently, they stalk them or something like that. Maybe just a projection there, folks. But so you get the idea. This guy, he's evidently going outside it, looking outside of the box, according to what he's been indoctrinated into, as he sees through the rest of his family, who is also indoctrinated and refusing to come out. He's telling them that they're subjecting themselves to that citizenry that he knows is fake. Interesting.
And that is probably where the familiarity of the last name comes from. And
All right.
I appreciate your time. Thank you. And I hope you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too. All right. Let's take up our.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have told her to go ahead and have a blessed day after I accused her of committing treason, but evidently it's available. But again, like I said, interesting aspect of being able to call the guy up and do some follow up on this, find out what happened on the 18th here last week, and maybe bring him up on panel. It'd be interesting. Because again, he's got that language that he's working on, and I see as a young man, he seems very young, and so I hope to see this kind of thing more and more in our younger generations. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight from Heckle-Bus as we did a review, and again, that's part of my profiles and stuff that I'm working on with the channels, so that when I do this stuff, each channel will have its own specific topic. So Heckle-Bus will be doing these types of reviews, and I will try to do these once a week. And then working on Paul Jr. still. Got some material I'm going to bring up on there in regards to the Heroic Imagination Project, which will be the basis of Paul Jr. channel. And working on the other topics for Keith Little and Chaplin and the others. So keep supporting us. We appreciate it. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There's a PayPal button in the details section below for anybody that wants to share some love. And we will see everybody next time here with some more reviews on Heckle-Bus. One last time, Mike, you are an idiot. Don't believe me. Don't believe the neighbor. Don't believe the government. Don't believe your mother, for crying out loud. And for fuck's sake, don't believe Mike. Remember, folks, I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. So may God bless you and have a good night. We'll see everybody next time. Thanks again.